Hey there, welcome to another edition of Ignition 101. In this video, we're going to walk through how to actually create go-to-market plans in Ignition. There's two ways to create go-to-market plans. The first way is directly from a Jira issue in your product roadmap. But if you want to do the simpler way, you just hit this new launch button up in the top. And here you're going to basically give us some basic information about your launch that's going to inform the plan that we create for you. So first you're going to want to pick a launch date, or give it a name, give it a description so that people understand what this thing that you're launching is. Then pick a launch date. This is typically going to be the date that you're announcing the launch publicly, so your general availability launch. And then you're going to pick like what type of launch is this. So Ignition can be used for products and features. That's the most common use case. But then also it might be a campaign, or it might be an event or a webinar. So you can pick the type of launch, and then the launch tier is really the level of effort you want to put into this launch. So tier 3 launches are going to be really, really small, quick processes with a lot less documentation. Tier 1 launches are going to be big strategic launches that are going to impact all sorts of different channels and have a lot more work leading into them. And if you want to use, we actually have a framework tool that will help you actually pick which one is right for your launch if you choose this Help Me Choose option. But basically this will help define what your launch plan is going to look like. Then you can pick a product line to identify, and make it easier to categorize the launches that you're creating. We're going to then take all of these options and we're going to create a launch plan for you based off of our templates, which are actually dynamic templates, so they'll adjust to the characteristics of your launch. If you want to just build a launch from a blank one, you can always build from scratch too instead. So just anytime you see a prompt that is suggesting that you generate recommendations, if you don't want those recommendations, you'll always see a build from scratch option here, so you can just build from nothing. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the plan. So we've taken all of those inputs that we just put in, and we've structured the overall go-to-market plan and all the documentation that we need to think about as we're mapping this out. You can also always add custom modules here. So you just drop in a module name, hit enter, and then it's going to add a custom module. If you want to break this into sections, you can also add a section here from the plus icon, and then you can start to drag and drop all of these modules around. So it's all very customizable, and we can also customize the frameworks and templates that are getting created here as well. So if you have your own frameworks, please just reach out and we'll help you set up a custom template for your company. But so from here, like once your plan's been created, you can kind of go any direction you want. You can start documenting your strategy. You could go out and build out an asset plan. You could go build a task or a project plan for the launch, or you could go out and like map out your timelines. Whichever one you do first doesn't really matter. It's not going to hurt you. But we typically recommend that your next step is to go in and map out your go-to-market timeline. Here is where you're going to be able to list out all your high-level milestones and launch phases, and then any promotional activity that is planned around the launch. So on the screen, you can see we popped up this little Copilot module. So Copilot is our launch AI that helps you to generate your launch plans faster. It is customizable, so if you have your own frameworks, we can always apply those for you. And you don't have to use it either, so you can always choose build from scratch if you feel like the recommendations aren't going to be relevant to your business. However, what it does is it allows you to really generate an entire end-to-end go-to-market plan in just about 10 seconds. So basically what we've done is we take those inputs that we collected at the beginning of the launch plan creation. And then in this case, we're trying to figure out, okay, what are the different promotional channels we want to use for this launch plan? So we're going to ask you some other input questions like what's your promotional budget? Are you a sales-led or product-led go-to-market motion? What's your overall strategic approach to marketing this product? Like, for example, are we trying to switch customers from a competitor? And then does this impact pricing? And we're going to use those inputs as well as the ones that we put in earlier, and we're going to generate a promotional plan for ourselves. And so as you can see, we say, oh, these are all the recommended channels that we think that we should use for this launch plan. You can always use your own too. If you want to drop in a custom channel, you can just drop in and write out a custom channel or select from our existing list. And on the screen, you can basically map out any promotional timelines. Like for example, if you want to map out like when is your alpha shipping, you can do that. And then once you drop it in, you can just drag and drop to map out what your promotional timelines look like. But the reason that we suggest doing this go-to-market timeline first is because we're actually going to use the channels that are created in this list to help inform the asset plans and the project plans that we create too. So we know that, like, because we're running social ads, we need headline copy, body copy, visual assets for social ads. And then we also need to do a series of different tasks in order to get social ads live. So what we do is we take this plan, and then when I go to the copy and asset section, if I use the Copilot feature, it's going to generate a asset plan for me. And so again, you can toggle between, you know, a card view or a list view within assets. But as you can see, based on the different channels that we're running, we've populated an asset plan so that we don't need to go and spend the time to think about, like, what are the things I need to create again. So it's really easy to not forget. And then same thing at the project plan level. So we can take all of those assets, all of the channels that we're mapping out, and within tasks, we'll generate a project plan that uses work back schedules based off of our launch date. And so these will dynamically adjust if the launch date changes, and depending on how far out the launch date is. And then also they will adjust based on the start and end dates of the channels that we're running promotion through. So this is a really easy place for you to manage all of your tasks. In this view, there's a little bit more detail that you can go into. So if you want to drop into a specific task and drop in descriptions or add additional dates like a start date, or you want to comment and collaborate around those things, you can always click into a task. You can also assign owners here. So we don't assign owners by default. We do assign start due dates by default, but you can always change these as well. Just click on them, change them however you like. You can also add custom tags to all of these as well. And within copy and assets here, you can always drop in, you can write copy, you can upload, you can drop in links, you can upload files. So it's really easy to store everything that you need around your launch plan here. And then once things are populated in, you can always use this little send icon to send things for approval. And everything in Ignition is all modular and can all be collaborated on independently. So if you want to collaborate on a specific copy or asset item or a specific planning module and you want to start discussing that in comments, we have a commenting feature for you to do that as well. One more advanced thing that you may want to do when you're creating launch plans is if you have integrated your product team's roadmap and your engineering roadmap, on the product status view here, you can basically connect any tickets that you want by selecting add tickets, and you can say, okay, these are the Jira epics, or these are the individual tickets within that Jira epic that I want that are contributing to this launch plan. Oftentimes you'll want to sit down with your product manager to go through this, and then what we'll do is we'll generate a overall progress towards launch for all the different product lines of work that are contributing to it. So if you have multiple things that are blockers for that launch, this is a really easy way for you to get visibility into whether or not those things seem like they're trending towards shipping on time or not. And we'll give you an estimation of that. So that's the quick view of how to create a launch plan. We'll go more in detail on how to collaborate and use those launch plans in the next video. But if you have any questions, please reach out to support@ignition.com.